rally in Oakland this morning with a simple demand: a ceasefire to end the killing of Palestinian children. John Ramos has the story.
It's been 2 weeks since the attacks on Israel triggered a massive military response on Gaza. The arguments continue on both sides, but here in Oakland and across the world, there is a growing call for a ceasefire. The rally at this Oakland park was meant to be a family affair, but the rain turned a sidewalk mural into what looked like blood. It was a chilling reminder of what has been happening in Israel since the October 7th attacks by Hamas. After hundreds of civilians were slaughtered and kidnapped, Israel's military has responded with constant missile attacks on heavily populated areas in Gaza. It's those images that prompted Sarah Noor to organize the last-minute protest and march, specifically involving children.
I just called this together on my own because I am a mom of a young child and I'm a Jewish mom. So when I see those children in Gaza and I see their photos, I see my own child and I think, what if that was me? And what would I want the world to do if it was me in that situation?
To be sure, there were protesters like Fadi Saba who were focused on the long-standing dispute over Palestinian freedom.
It is really important when the people are under brutal occupation for them to be free, and that's what we want.
But for others, it was a more basic demand: stop the bombings in Gaza to protect the lives of children.
There's a state with a military that has planes and is bombing civilian and residential areas, and there's children who are being killed, and that's wrong. And we need to stop. That's why we're calling for a ceasefire, because we need to save human life.
Still, for those involved in international politics, nothing is simple. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said on CBS's Face the Nation that Israel is forced to take this action because Hamas has purposely located its war machine inside populated areas.
Well, its senior leaders, its weapons, its tunnels, all are co-located in residential buildings. They're buried underneath hospitals and schools. It knew that in Israel's necessary response, civilians would be caught in that crossfire. It's the last thing we want to see. It's imperative that every step be taken to protect them. But what does anyone expect Israel to do? Israel has to do everything it can to make sure this doesn't happen again. Freezing things in place where they are now would allow Hamas to remain where it is and to repeat what it's done sometime in the future. No country could accept that.
But others refuse to accept what's happening in Gaza as well. At the rally, children were given a lead role, but organizer Caden Peters with the Bay Area Family Solidarity Network admits that can be controversial in a situation like this.
A lot of people wonder about it, and a lot of people don't want to talk to their kids about it because they're worried about making them scared, or they're worried about how it's going to come across, or if you're putting your politics onto your kids, things like that. But you talk about it in a way that can help them understand so that as they're growing up, they can access it. They know what's going on, and then they can start figuring things out for themselves.
A lot of people are trying to figure out what's happening in the Middle East, and you don't have to be a child to be scared by where it all may be heading.
Protesters believe the United States holds the key to convincing Israel to end the bombings and to allow more humanitarian aid into Gaza.